Tiffany Kim's public sector sales leader at Tynes. It's great to see you. Thanks for joining me today. Organizations tell me they're struggling with zero trust implementation in some ways. What do you advise them to do to kind of step back a moment and examine what they're doing so they can continue to make progress?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Francis, for having me. Great to be here and at Billington. I would say, you're not alone. Organizations as a whole are taking time, right? Zero trust is a journey, and you can expect that. A lot of agencies have addressed a number of the pillars, but have stopped short of truly automating and orchestrating. So what we recommend is that they take the time to really understand what is most critical to their organization from both a workflow perspective as well as an integration perspective. And then, pick those off. And when they're doing that, look for a platform that's going to allow them to not only think about security and SOAR, but also automation as a whole. Mm-hmm. And so I would say as you progress through that, thinking about things that are going to benefit that zero trust journey, like documentation, having documentation embedded into the process is really so important, not only for, clarity of what those actual workflows are, but, overall compliance and governance. I think the final thing I would say is that you have to think about the human element of this, right? You're going to drive teams to want to all leverage this platform. So cross-team participation is very important, and having that human oversight is important, not only for, credibility of what you're doing, but also to be able to really up-level the entire organization. So zero trust is a journey, it takes time.
Yeah, why is automation and orchestration the places that organizations find hangups?
I think you get some of those quicker wins with the earlier pillars, but to kind of take that thoughtful approach and trust the technology and get that technology that's going to allow it. You heard this morning, zero trust is not a single tool. Right. So I think as people have gotten along, they've just stopped short there. And, now is the time. We heard this morning, automation should be everything. Everything you could possibly automate, you should. So we are a firm believer.
And the tools are there for automation is what people keep telling me over and over again. So why? Is it a cultural issue that most organizations run into?
I think that's part of it, right? It is change, and there's been a lot of change as we were talking about. But I also think that as we go into this inflection point with AI, and it could not be more exciting right now for us, we see from Tynes that AI plus orchestration and automation really is going to be that game changer. That's really how you're going to up-level your organization. So the time is now to lean in.
What I think is interesting about what you just said is that AI is not the automation in and of itself. AI is an integration item in combination with automation.
Absolutely. And AI is also not a replacement of humans, right? This is allowing us to up-level our employees, allow them to do more meaningful work. I mean, think if you ever actually had time to think throughout the day, right? So AI is a tool that we can use to help empower our employees. So absolutely.
What does automation look like from a zero trust perspective in your view at some future point, a couple of years out when agencies are supposed to be from a timeline perspective to really be finished with this work or at least a lot farther along?
Yeah, I mean, I think as said this morning, we should be automating everything that we can. And I think automation in this process is going to allow agencies to continue to evolve as their tech stack evolves, and having that work done for you and eliminate the muck work out of the day-to-day is really going to help organizations maintain and continue on that zero trust journey.
Yeah, you kind of anticipated where I wanted to go next, which is as technology accelerates, evolves, like nobody 3 years ago in a zero trust environment was thinking about AI that much, I don't think. And so how does one accommodate for what might be coming down the road, or is the nature of the pillars of zero trust, is that not really that big of a factor?
I would say that with technology, things are always changing, right? And you look at the things that we are trying to solve for today, to your point, are things that we weren't even thinking about a few years ago. So no, I think that there's constantly going to be that evolution, and I think that we need to continue to stay very focused on this area so that we can continue to stay up and ahead of those adversaries.
How would you advise an agency and government to know that it's on track? We have about a minute left.
There's definitely that continued scorecarding of what's happening within zero trust, and I would say be honest with yourself, right? There's no good news or bad news. It's just the news, right? So being able to look at how they are doing and having that self-reflection is really important, and setting those milestone goals so that you know that you are making progress. I also think organizationally, getting the buy-in of what is most critical to your specific agency is truly important.
Tiffany, it's great to talk to you. Thanks for your time today.
You too, Francis. Thank you.